video, I'm going to be making king cake from Bayou. This is a super nostalgic recipe for me, and it is a slice of Americana in general. If you go to New Orleans during Mardi Gras, you'll see king cakes everywhere. There's probably no dessert that's more associated with that holiday or that holiday period. Oftentimes a king cake has a baby hidden inside of it, and whoever has a slice that has the baby inside of it is considered king for a day. The baby represents baby Jesus. It has a lot of religious undertones to it. This version of king cake itself is a braided dough recipe. So you coat these ropes of dough in cinnamon sugar and then interlope them together, and it makes these layers of just, man, fantastic savory, cinnamony, sweet cake. And then there's a cream cheese frosting on top of it with the iconic green, gold, and purple sanding sugar on top of that. So it's a little bit of a complicated recipe, but you can see it makes a gigantic cake that you can use. This is a party platter that this cake is on right now. It makes a gigantic cake that you can feed a lot of people with. So it's designed for a party. So if all that sounds really fun to you, let's go ahead and follow along and hop into the kitchen. The first step in making our king cake is to take 3/4 of a cup of evaporated milk, as well as 3/4 of a cup of water, and heat that up over low heat in a small saucepan. And again, we don't want this to bubble or boil or even simmer. We just want to warm this up to get this up close to maybe a little warmer than room temperature. We're going to take our warm milk mixture and add that to a large bowl. And now we're going to, this is 1/3 of a cup of raw sugar, and we're going to use 1 tablespoon of that. We're going to use the rest of it later, but for now we're going to use 1 tablespoon of that and add that to the mixture. And then we've got active dry yeast, and we're going to add 2 tablespoons of that to the mixture. And we're going to now bloom this yeast. We're just going to mix it all up, and then we're going to cover this. Yeast activates better in darkness, so you want to put a nice tight covering over the top of this and let it continue to bloom for about 10 minutes. Okay, our yeast has bloomed here. Now we're going to add, you want to take these eggs out early and get them to room temperature, but 1 egg plus 1 yolk. And we're going to add the rest of the raw sugar. This is 4 ounces of lard, and then a teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And as you all know, I love to put a lot of vanilla in stuff. And then we're just going to use our spoon to go ahead and get this mixture all uniformly combined. Now we're going to add 4 cups of flour to the mixture, about half a cup at a time, and then just incorporate each half cup before you put the next half cup in. First, you'll be able to do this with a spoon while it's still pretty liquidy, and then once it starts to come together, you're going to get your hands dirty here and get it all mixed in together well. Now, for about 8 to 10 minutes, we're going to knead the dough. This is a very soft, sticky dough, which is what you want for this recipe. So just pull and fold and work in this flour over time, and take your time doing this. But you don't want to incorporate too much flour because we don't want this dough to get super stiff. We want it to be soft, and so just continue to do this for about 8 to 10 minutes. Eventually your dough should come together into a nice, solid, shiny ball like this that no longer sticks. And we're going to take this ball of dough and we're going to put it in a greased, clean bowl here. And we're going to put this, cover this with a kitchen towel, and we're going to put this in a warm, draft-free spot for about an hour until the dough doubles in size. While the dough is rising, we're going to melt 2 ounces of unsalted butter in a saucepan here. And we're going to let it continue to cook until it browns, and then we're going to mix a teaspoon of vanilla into this mixture as well. We're also going to make a simple sugar mixture of 3/4 of a cup of dark brown sugar, 3/4 of a cup of raw sugar, a tablespoon of cinnamon, and a teaspoon of kosher salt. And we're just going to mix all of this together until we get a nice uniform. Make sure you break up any clumps in here, but until we get a nice uniform sugar mixture that we're going to use here shortly. The dough has finished its first rise, and now we're going to cut this into roughly 3 equal pieces here. This is a rustic cake, so you don't need to be super exact with it. There we go. And we're going to take each one of these pieces, and we're going to, on a lightly floured surface, roll it out into about a 20 inch, not 20 feet, a 20-inch rope. So we've got our brown butter mixture here, and we're just going to baste the ropes in this mixture to get them nice and moist. And once they're nice and coated in this butter all over, we're going to take the sugar mixture. We've reserved 1/3 of a cup of this sugar mixture for later use, but we're going to take the rest of it and we're going to give a nice generous coating of this sugar mixture over these ropes here. And we might roll them a little bit too to get them fully nice and evenly coated in this mixture. So we're going to do this 2 more times with the other 2 ropes, and then we'll move on to the next step. Now we're going to use a simple egg wash of 2 egg yolks and a tablespoon of heavy cream to seal the ends of these braids together. And you just want to layer them like this. So that they fuse when they bake. And now we're just going to braid the dough like so. I like to do a pretty tight braid to get lots of these little swirls of cinnamon sugar in here. And all right, I'm going to continue making this braid, and I'll show you guys what the final result looks like. All right, look at how beautiful that braid came out. So we've got a baking sheet here that's lined with parchment paper, and we're going to transfer the dough onto that. And very carefully, this is a very soft, pliable dough, and it definitely will mess up on you if you're not very careful with moving it around. So we're going to get that on there, and we're going to make the classic ring shape for the cake. And once again, we're going to use a little bit of this egg wash here to fuse these ends together. And at this point, we can clean it up a little bit just to get a really perfect oval shape. So now I can see it better. And this, I spilled a little bit here, but that's okay because now we're actually going to baste the top of this with the egg wash all over anyway, which is going to spread and really smooth out all that cinnamon sugar all over the place. So I'm going to continue doing this, and I'll show you guys what that looks like when it's done. The king cake ring has finished the second rise. We've preheated the oven to 375 Fahrenheit, and we're ready to put this bad boy in. This thing looks and smells amazing. This is my favorite king cake recipe, and this is one of my favorite desserts to have in general. So we're gonna go ahead and pop this in for about 20 minutes, and I'll show you the results. All right, this just came out of the oven, and as you can see, this is a big hoss of a cake. This is a full sheet pan that it's sitting on, so it's a huge cake. We're gonna let this completely cool down now. You can see a lot of the braiding seems to have dissipated. So if you're disappointed to see that when yours comes out, don't worry, that's normal. The braiding was to interlace that cinnamon sugar all throughout the inside of the cake as we cut it. So we're gonna ice this cake as well as decorate it and add some more garnishes to it. But for now, we're gonna let this cool all the way back down to room temperature. While the cake is cooling, to make the cream cheese icing, we're going to put in a full 8-ounce package of cream cheese, 2 tablespoons of butter, both at room temperature, so let them cool down, don't take them straight out of the fridge, and then 1/3 cup of confectioner sugar. And now we're just going to use the whisk attachment to blend these 3 elements until they are smooth and incorporated. Now we're going to put in 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a full tablespoon of lemon juice, and 1/2 cup of heavy cream. And once again, we're going to turn on our whisk attachment and we're just going to blend this until it's smooth. All right, guys, we are almost at the finish line here. So now we're just going to take our smooth cream cheese icing and we're just going to ice the top of the king cake all the way around. You don't need to go down the sides, just get most of the top area here covered in icing. All right, we're almost done, but if you've ever had a king cake before, you know king cake is not finished until you have your purple, green, and gold sanding sugar topping. And you make that just in stripes here, going across the frosting. So we'll do purple, we'll do gold, green, and we're just going to continue making different colored stripes here until we go all the way around the ring. And here is the completed king cake. Y'all, this is one of my favorite desserts. I mean, it's probably in like my top 5 desserts. Maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia from growing up on the Gulf Coast and visiting New Orleans when I lived in Tennessee and Mississippi, but it just reminds me of, you know, beignets at Cafe Du Monde. It's got that, it's a sweet, cinnamony, moist cake. It's like a Danish Kringle, but it's really not. It's something unique, and it's almost like you can taste the gold, green, and purple on it, even though it's just sanding sugar. So try making this out at home. If you like Mardi Gras, if you want to just make something, this is distinctly American, distinctly Deep South, and distinctly Louisiana and New Orleans. So give it a shot. I think you'll really enjoy it, and it makes such a large portion that you'll be able to take it to a party and feed a whole bunch of people. So if you enjoy my videos, I've got a lot of other American desserts and other types of American dishes. And if you enjoy my videos in general, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one.